Hello, everyone. Welcome to the My Healthy Home Summit. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Caroline Blazovsky. I'm a national healthy home expert and an environmental residential consultant with over 24 years of experience. This summit is designed to educate you about the process of creating a healthy home, to learn how our homes may affect our health and wellness, and the benefits associated with living and working in healthier spaces. We have compiled the most decorated speakers in this arena to help you on this journey. Today, we are joined by Bill Cadwallader, who will be discussing the topic of electromagnetic fields, or what we commonly call EMF, in our homes. We will be giving you a roadmap to creating healthy homes with low exposure to EMF. Welcome, Bill Cadwallader. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you.
Great. Thanks again for having me on and presenting this most important topic that most of the population in the US and around the world have no idea what it's doing to us, our family, and most importantly, our health.
Thank you so much. And can you start by giving us a quick synopsis about your background and how you got interested in EMF and electromagnetic fields in our homes in particular?
Sure. I've been in IT all my life. I was working here in Las Vegas, and a gentleman before and after meetings always held his cell phone to his head. He developed a tumor right where he held the cell phone. He had surgery, massive chemo, and we had a sigh of relief. Everything was okay. It grew back, surgery, massive chemo, and then he died. He left a wife who is now a widow. He left 7 children who are now fatherless. And shortly after that, I knew that there was a problem with the cell phone, in that the telecommunications industry was not going to tell us how to use these in the safest possible mode. And at that point, that was my journey on to where I am now. I'm author of Expose, the Electronic Sickening of America and How to Protect Yourself, including dangers of 5G and smart devices. And also, I'm a co-author of Quick and Easy EMF Guide, 99 Tips to Lower Harmful Electromagnetic Radiation. And in these books, we have easy tips that anyone can do, easy and quick tips. And also the 99 Tips book has now been translated into Spanish. I've presented multiple times at the Los Angeles Annual Cancer Convention, doctor symposiums. And I also developed a biocompatibility test for, we'll talk about dirty electricity filters that anyone can do. It only takes about 3 minutes in their kitchen and to get the best filter for that. And then I'm also part-time faculty in the Building Biology Institute, and we certify people in this area to be certified electromagnetic radiation specialists.
Amazing. I'm so excited because I'm going to learn a lot too. So let's get to your presentation and see what you can teach us.
Okay. So My Healthy Home Summit, 5G and electromagnetic radiation. So as I said, I'm an author and a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist. There's under 50 of these in the entire US. And again, we go into homes and we measure, and then we remediate the issues in a home. So there are the 2 books that I've written, Exposed and co-authored Quick and Easy EMF Guides. And also it's been translated into Spanish as well. So why should you care? So one of the issues is we have a lot of things where we have a lot of things that are wired, and we're going to show you how to reduce those, how to actually wire almost all your electronic devices. So then let's take a quick look about your health. Your health is at risk. Number 2, your children and grandchildren are in great peril. Your privacy is compromised, and the environment is affected. So you are wired to care. So let's take a look first at your health. So glioblastoma multiform brain tumors on the rise in the Netherlands, England, Denmark, Australia, and even a USC study confirms the same thing. On the right-hand side, we have 7 names. 6 of the top names are 6 names that we knew, my wife and I knew, that actually developed a tumor in their brain in 18 months. How is that possible? And unfortunately, the last person has now died of that. So Netherlands, look at the red line right here. We have a red line, and that shows that it's doubled in a short amount of time, about the time cell phones were introduced to about 2010. And then England had the same thing. Look at the red line. It's doubled as well. And then in Denmark, it almost tripled. This is crazy stuff. And also, your risk of brain cancer by the years of using wireless phones incorrectly can actually go up 180% if you use them incorrectly. And that's what we're going to show you today, how to use them correctly. So that's what the statistics look like. Let's look at something else. And this is what it looks like on a friend of mine. That's where he held the phone on that side of the head. And that's something none of us want. Fortunately, it was non-malignant and they got it out. So study finds a sharp rise in colon cancer and rectal cancer rates among the young adults. How could that be? That doesn't make sense. So look at the 65 and a plus. Since about 19, they've been dropping their actual rates. Well, when you're older, your immune system is not quite as good, so it shouldn't be happening this. But look at this, 20 to 49. They're doubling and tripling in some reports. That's crazy. Could it be due to poor nutrition, sedentary lifestyle, obesity, other risk factors, or could texting and carrying a cell phone be another possible contributor? Ladies, excuse me, normally keep it in their back pocket. And guys normally keep it in their front pocket. And look at this. This lady is expecting and she's got that cell phone right there. And cell phones go off every 6 to 30 seconds, even if you're not doing anything with them, trying to reach the nearest cell tower, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi device. And it's not just cancer. Look at this, neurobehavioral symptoms near cell towers. So this was done at the bottom in the center, the big red top graph, that was fatigue. And it shows you, this is in meters, about 30 feet away up to 900 feet. And you can see how all these symptoms start to drastically reduce the farther we get to the right, meaning, or the farther we go to get away from the cell tower. And then Egypt, interesting thing, sub-Saharan Egypt, there's certain places that don't have cell towers anymore. And what happens is we can have a control group. But look at this compared to Egypt normally, where they have cell towers and not, these headaches, memory changes, a number of things are up 23% or more. And then cancer, let's look at some health risks. So cancer, most common, brain cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, multiple myeloma, melanoma. We'll talk about melanoma in a little bit on a case study. And also some other cancers, ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, as well as thyroid and uterine cancer. We'll talk about that as well. And also non-cancers like ADD, ADHD, Alzheimer's, blood pressure, chronic fatigue, and even your blood-brain barrier is at risk. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And even skin issues and diabetes, also fibromyalgia and hair loss. So I went into a person's home, and in that home, they had what they call a smart meter. We'll talk about that a little bit. That's a new meter that the electrical utilities have now put on. And what it does is it automatically transmits your electrical usage. And the problem is it creates a lot of dirty electricity on the wires. We'll talk about that as well. And I said, you need to get that out. So they did get it out. And she gave me a call about 3 months later. And she said, my hair quit falling out. I said, your hair quit falling out? I didn't even know it was. I said, go back to see when the smart meter was installed. And shortly after her smart meter was installed, her hair started falling out. And again, that was for her. But again, if you have a smart meter, please get it off. Also, heart problems like AFib, palpitations, even miscarriages and multiple sclerosis. So Kaiser Permanente did a study of about 900 ladies. The higher the radiation the ladies were exposed to, the higher the miscarriages. So a direct connection. And the reason this is so important is it's a very short period of time, less than 9 months. And also numbness, tingling sensations, Parkinson's, tremors, and also weakens the immune system as well. So what we do know about electromagnetic radiation is it damages the DNA, it compromises the blood-brain barrier, and that's the barrier in your brain that as your blood flows through the brain, that toxins in your blood cannot get into your brain. So it actually starts to open that after several minutes of speaking on a cell phone. Also weakens the immune system, produces stress proteins, also disrupts cell communication. Martin Pall talked about that, Dr. Martin Pall, and interferes with the uptake of calcium. And these are just some basic things that we know that EMF do. So could radiation be the straw that broke the camel's back? So we're not saying on all those previous slides that every single malady that humans have are resulting from cell towers or cell communication or EMFs. What we're saying is, could it push you over the edge? And in certain cases, it does. So number 2, what's it doing to our children and grandchildren? So children are disproportionately affected by environmental exposures, including cell phone radiation. And look at that. A child has a cell phone almost half the size of his head. How can that be good? And Consumer Electronics Show is here in Las Vegas. It's one of the biggest shows in Las Vegas, so I try to go every single year. And let's look at just 3 of their products that they had recently. So here it is. You have a Bluetooth baby bottle. So on your phone, a mother or a father can tell how much milk is left and how warm it is. So literally a child is grasping a mini cell tower. That can't be good. You'll say it can't get worse than that. Let's see. There it is, Wi-Fi diapers. So this particular device tells the parent when the diapers are wet. So now we're wrapping a cell tower around the child's center, their lower center. That can't be good. You said it can't get worse than that. One more. Here's a Wi-Fi pacifier. This tells the parent the temperature of the child. The child is literally sucking on a cell tower. That is not good at all. And Wi-Fi babies, no pre-market study on any of these things, no long-term studies. They just push it out. Crazy. So also, it's affecting concentration. Can't remember stuff. Digital overdosing is literally changing the ways our process and retain information. That was done by Stanford and Rutgers. So our brains, and especially the developing brains of our children, were never designed to handle the constant assault of radiation or to process the extreme sensory overload. The physical, mental, and emotional health of our young people are at great risk. And look at that. He has a tablet right on his stomach. And again, the radiation is thousands of times the safe level. So number 3 is our privacy thing of the past. So this is another aspect that we're seeing. Our privacy is starting to be compromised. So Huntington Beach was one of the first studies to install these new smart poles, and they can have cameras in it. They can have cell towers, and you're just walking right by it. You have no idea it's a cell tower. And then also cameras everywhere. Look at all these cameras that we have now. So we do not know about what we do not know about 5G should scare you. The potential for disease and abuse is incalculable because they have so much more bandwidth. They can transmit videos and sound and pictures as well, so much easier. So here, the fact is that there have been no pre-market studies, no long-term studies, no opportunity for individuals to opt out of this technology. It is everywhere. And be smart, be connected. 5G isn't just another generation. So when you see the G on the end, that just stands for generation 2G, 3G, and 4G. It can use new technology, millimeter wave, which carries even more radiation. So in order for 5G and the Internet of Things, that means that everything is connected. You might not have to connect it, but it connects automatically. And last statistics I saw on the Internet of Things, there's over 35 billion things connecting throughout the world. Smart devices to work together. It requires the 5G infrastructure, and we've started putting it in about 2018, so we're well about halfway through putting that infrastructure in. Density is everywhere, smaller cell towers, and now along residential streets. So in the past, it was on a mountain or somewhere away from residents. Now it's there. Also, they're going to employ massive MIMO, massive multiple input, massive multiple output, and everything. The smartphone is acting as the tub of everything, the hub. There is no opt out. So if you say, hey, I don't want that on my lamppost, I'm sorry. In 1996, the current telecommunications law that we're operating under said that you can never deprive the location of a cell tower based on health or based on environmental concerns. What other concerns are there? It's crazy. Sensors, and all these can have sensors on it already being installed, and you won't even necessarily be able to identify them because they bury them in light poles and other poles. So don't be fooled just because it doesn't look like a cell tower. So they try to put some things on it. And let me just talk, the long skinny antennas here, those are normally 4G, and the ones that look like a pizza box that are square, those are normally 5G. So again, just because it doesn't look like a cell tower, and we have one in the center, and look at that. It's about 10 to 15 feet from that top window, blasting right into that bedroom. So just because it doesn't look like a cell tower like this clock tower, it can be dangerous. So 4G, 5G, what's the difference? Often get that question. 4G broadcasts continually 24/7. Sort of like a TV antenna or radio antenna. 5G, more radiation. It's beamforming, meaning it's more concentrated, and it can have 5G millimeter waves, and also smaller antennas closer to the users. Because there's so much more information being passed, it can only go so far, so they have to increase the density of these antennas. So number 4, your environment is affected as well. So global internet coverage satellites, what will this do to our planet? So according to the UN, before internet satellites were installed, there were only 5,000 satellites ever launched since the late 50s up until about 2018. So now SpaceX, up to 42,000, 4,500 on OneWeb, and a number of them. Even Amazon is getting into the game. But look at the bottom. Proposed is over 440,000 satellites, just covering. You can drive away from a cell tower, but you can't drive away from a satellite. And even the rocket launches pollute our environments as well, every single time. And the proliferation of global internet coverage satellites orbiting the air could actually result in more ecological damage, contrary to what popular perception is. Wireless technology is neither sustainable nor environmentally safe. So why isn't everyone sounding the alarm? I mean, these are just some basic issues that we have. So in the 50s, doctors advertised cigarettes. So here's a guy with Camels. Also, here's a guy with Lucky Strikes. Even celebrities got into endorsing cigarettes. So the first study linking smoking with lung cancer was published in 1929. How long did it take to expose lies and reveal truth? Decades. So it wasn't till the late 1990s is when the states actually settled with the tobacco companies, and they paid the states a lot of money. Never admitted any wrong, but there were 60,000 studies. So often I ask people, how many studies in EMF would it take to actually have you change some small habits? You know, is it 100, 200? You know, I normally get into the hundreds. So how many studies do we have currently? We have over 5,000 scientific studies linking exposure to EMFs to a very large number of diseases. How many studies will it take? And a good resource is the Bioinitiative report. It's been updated actually in 2022 if someone would like to go to it. So what I like to say is electromagnetic radiation is the tobacco of the digital age, and like smoking and tobacco, it can kill you. So again, why isn't everyone sounding the alarm? This is troubling things. Money, money, money. That's the reason why. So now big pharma used to be the highest contributor in lobbying dollars. Now big telecommunications is now outstrips big pharma in how many lobbying dollars they give to senators and representatives, and all they have to do is convince 55% of the senators to not change anything, and that's what's currently happening. So you can take control now. So let's get on to the positive. Don't wait for industry and government to get on the research. We cannot totally escape the presence of EMS, but we can greatly reduce our exposure. There are solutions that are scientific and measurable that we do all the time. So let's get started. So what to do? First, a little background. So two major types of radiation: radiation through the air, wireless, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth, commonly called RF. Think of the power of 3, and then 3 from the wires: electric radiation, magnetic radiation, and dirty electricity. So 3 and 3. So here's some of the ones that do electric and magnetic radiation. And there's also there's low frequencies, middle frequencies, and high frequencies. So these are the two lowest frequencies. These are electrical. And all of these actually can increase the electric and magnetic radiation in your home. So solutions to electric and magnetic radiation from the wires: cut power whenever possible if there's a Wi-Fi component. So many of our electronics now have a Wi-Fi component. You literally have to cut the power to knock out the Wi-Fi component. Increase the distance from source, and if it doesn't have a Wi-Fi component, then just turn it off whenever possible. And also the third radiation from the wire, it's the middle frequencies. We call that dirty electricity, is actually another kind of radiation that's newer. So these type of things can create it. Even the new LED bulbs are creating a lot, the old CFLs, but anything that deals with cutting up and chopping up your electrical flow can cause that issue. So let's talk about a middle school and dirty electricity. The first number: 24 teachers at a single middle school got cancer. Wow, that seems high. But look at the next number: 49 students who attended that middle school 3 years or less got cancer in their 20s. So I ask often people, how many of your friends in your 20s had cancer? Not 49 in a single school, and the 12 is the worst number of all. 12 have died now. 6 students have died, and 6 teachers have now died. Let's look at the 3 top cancers: 13 times the thyroid cancer, 10 times the melanoma, and 9 times the uterine cancer that we would normally see. And those are just the top 3 cancers. And let's look, that was dirty electricity. Let's look at options to solve dirty electricity. We have Greenwave and Stetzer. Those are the most common. They have a meter that you can measure, just plug it in. And then they have filters, as well as Stetzer on the right. Very easy to do. And out of the 6 radiation, 3 wireless and 3 from the wires. This is, out of those 6 radiation, this is the only one a filter will actually drop down. The other things we have to put some distance or turn it off. So radiation through the air: Wi-Fi, wireless, and Bluetooth, commonly called RF. Think of the power of 3. And here are all these things that can cause this. So again, cell towers close to you, as well as these other things. And let's look at 10 first steps to a total EMF makeover. This can be downloaded for free at my website, stopdirtyelectricity.com, also included in the 2 books that we talked about. So again, you don't have to take notes. And then also on my website, you can actually download these things as well. So we're not going to do it this way. We're not going to put metal tinfoil hats on our animals or ourselves. We're actually doing it. What we're doing is scientific and measurable. So get as far away as possible from the microwave. So after you turn it on. So video, I actually have a video on my YouTube channel. You can actually go out and see this. And when you watch the video, you'll be surprised I get back 40 feet. So again, when you turn on the microwave, if you still use one, get as far back and always remember about your pets. So whenever I go into a home and we do a survey, an audit, and a remediation, we always ask, where do the pets stay? So we always measure those as well. So always remember the pets. So number 2, move it. So 19 out of 20 people use charge your cell phone on their nightstand. So move that as far away as possible, 12 to 15 feet. Because what happens is, even if you're not making a call, it goes off every 6 to 30 seconds, and it's thousands of times the safe level. And so again, move that as far as possible. I use mine as my alarm, and I have it in the master bedroom. And I guarantee you, if that rings in the middle of the night, you'll wake up. And let's talk about a 16-year-old. So I was actually at a house, and I walked out of the house, and the lady said, well, across the street, this 16-year-old had a tumor on the side of her head. It was a seven-hour surgery. I said, well, that's strange. Why do you think it happened? She said, I know why. She sleeps with a cell phone right at her pillow. Remember, it goes off every 6 to 30 seconds. And I mentioned to the lady, I sure hope someone tells her to please move that. And then also use speaker mode as much as possible. So in my book, we talk about DDT, the new DDT, dosage, distance, and time. So this is using distance. So get that as far away as possible. Every little bit helps. Again, you can't use it all the time, but we're talking about 90 to 95% solutions. So again, 90 to 95% of the time, make sure you use speaker mode. And also carry phones safely in your pocket. So airplanes, what you do is you put it airplane mode on and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. And again, I have that in the 10 things that you can do to reduce your radiation. Pretty easy to do. And my wife often puts it in that mode. She takes hikes and she can still take pictures. And then every so often she turns airplane mode off, and then she can get all her voice and text as well. So you will not be able to send or receive messages. So don't forget to check your messages from time to time. Just turn airplane mode. So when you have it in that mode, you will never lose any voice messages or text messages or any data or emails. So let's talk about a 19-year-old hip replacement. So I went out to a house, and we were doing a workshop there, actually, brought out his son, and his son had a hip replacement, and he was 19 years old. How can that be? How can a 19-year-old have a hip replacement? Well, as a freshman, he put his cell phone in his front pocket, left it there the entire high school term. And then what he did was he was hiking after he graduated, and he jumped off a rock and broke his hip. They rushed him to emergency, put him up on the table. And the first thing the surgeons found, she found that there was a huge tumor right where he carried his cell phone. She went through the tumor, and then she couldn't believe her eyes. She could take her finger and stick it right through the bone. The bone was completely dissolved. And that's what most people don't know. It's not a brick. It's going off every 6 to 30 seconds. And also turn your router off at night whenever possible. So if you can't turn it off, a lot of safety and security issues are based around routers now. Then we have a shielding foil. We have a shielding pouch we can put over the router to knock it down. And then also, again, if you can turn it off, a little remote control switch helps as well. And so again, use that get wired that I showed you at the start. So whenever possible, any of your devices you have in your house, make sure you hardwire the data to them. So again, with an Ethernet cable, normally make sure you hardwire them and then turn off the Wi-Fi, wireless, and Bluetooth to that item. Normally, when you have a device and you hardwired it, it doesn't turn the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and wireless off. You have to do that independently. And then also replace cordless phones. So some of our metropolitan areas still have landlines. So if you do have a cordless phone, make sure you replace it with the one on the right, and make sure there's no extra handset. If there's an extra handset, that means it's wirelessly transmitting. And then whenever you want to read something, whenever possible, what you want to do is download it to your phone and then read it from there. And if you turn off airplane, if you have airplane mode on and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off, then it immediately turns off all the radiation. So let's talk about a 34-year-old with an abdominal tumor. So I met this gentleman at a family get-together, and I really don't know him that well. And then what he did is every night, he came up to me and said, "Hey, by the way, they just took a tumor out of my abdomen." I said, "Tumor out of your abdomen?" I said, "Wow, what do you think caused it?" And he said, "Well, they took it out. Everything's okay now." But he was wondering if what he did every night would cause it. So he took his cell phone and he held it right on his stomach every night in bed as he was laying down for several hours. So you can guarantee he doesn't do that anymore. So again, if you want to ever read something, then make sure airplane mode on, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. And then again, airplane mode on, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. And then cut power to wireless devices. So as we talked about earlier, if you have devices in your house, electronic devices, and they have a wireless component, a Bluetooth component, or a Wi-Fi component, you have to cut the power off. So you can use a power strip or remote control cutoff switch. And avoid Bluetooth devices whenever possible. So these are the old ones. Now they have the earpods that actually go in because they transmit all the time. No, not a good thing. And then I was at my chiropractor and he said, "Hey, by the way, I had a lady in here that just had a melanoma on her cheek and they had it removed. She's wondering if her Bluetooth device caused it." I said, "Well, which side of the face was it on? Was it on the opposite side of the Bluetooth?" He said, No, it was right on the Bluetooth side." I said, "Well, was it above the Bluetooth or below the Bluetooth device?" And she said, "No, it was right underneath." And remember, even if you're not talking on it, it's going off every 6 to 30 seconds, thousands of times the safe radiation level. And then the final number 10 is opt out whenever possible. So these are the new smart meters. Whenever you see a digital display, 99% of the time it's a smart meter. It's transmitting all the time and it creates tons of dirty electricity. So call your local utility. And if they have an opt out, I would always have people remove this. And a bonus tip, baby monitors generate wireless Wi-Fi radiation constantly. Ping, ping, ping. So there are hardwire ways of getting a baby monitor. So I would always recommend that you don't use a baby monitor, but if you got to use one, then I would have you measured if it's wireless. So in my baby monitor video, you can see it on my website or go to my YouTube channel. I have to get back over 20 feet to where it drops to a normal level. So what room is 20 feet wide? What room do they have the baby camera 20 feet away? None of them. So again, try to get a wired one on that. So these are precautionary steps you can take today with little or no cost. And advanced solutions, sometimes we have to go to advanced solutions. So find a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist in your area, get an EMF home audit and remediation. And what we do is we meter and measure with commercial grade, highly sensitive instruments. We remediate and then verify the results. And if you want to find one in your area, just do a Google search, find an expert building biology. So find an expert building biology, and they're ranged by state and then city. And with the growing proliferation of 5G infrastructure, remember, we're about halfway there, a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist can solve these advanced solutions with shielding. So unfortunately, sadly, it may come to that as our exposure grows every day. We might have to shield. Last resort. So we have shielding foil, fabric, canopies. So canopies, a lot of times someone will be in a condo or a apartment, and you have neighbors above and below and left and right and everywhere. So sometimes a canopy is the only thing you can use. It's sort of like a princess bed. It goes over a bed in a multi-structured structure. Sometimes that's what we have to do. also shielding paint, and then shielding window films, and also for the attics, there's certain techniques for that. Shielding can get complicated, and most shielding materials are reflective. Shielding must be done by a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist. Shielding must be measured before and after to ensure the intended effect is accomplished. So I always use a removable shielding fabric or shield or foil to make sure it's going to work first, because since they're reflective, sometimes they can actually make it go up. So, but don't forget, there are plenty of things you can do right now to lower your exposure to harmful radiation. Remember this. This is what looks like on my friend. We don't want that. Remember that 16-year-old I talked about that slept with the phone? Now she's 17 years old, and I saw that lady again that I worked for, and she said, "You know, that girl's 17 years old." I said, "Oh." She said the tumor grew back. Now it's malignant, and now it was a 9-hour surgery, and they had to do plastic surgery on it. So think of a teenager with plastic surgery on their phone. And if she just would have moved that phone away, none of this would have happened. So why should you care? Let's look at the big four. Your health is at risk. Your children and grandchildren are in great peril. Your privacy is compromised, and our environment is affected. You are wired to care. So again, those just the book, they're exposed. There are over 30 pages of solutions, and we looked at over 300 resources. And also the quick and easy guide, looking for actionable items, bypass all the technical mumbo jumbo, some edgy photos, and who knows, leave it on the coffee table. Maybe your teenagers would pick it up. You might be surprised. So again, there are the two books again. And any questions?
Well, that was completely a stellar presentation. You are amazing. I'm at a loss for words because I think it was just so profound and impacting. So I thank you very much for that. I've
Thank
got
you.
a million questions, if you
Sure.
don't mind, because
Oh,
it
please.
just jogged different things in my mind. So, um, the first thing, what age do you think a child should have a cell phone? We know these kids are getting cell phones sooner and sooner. I mean, what do you think? Should they?
As late as possible. A lot of times it's a security issue. So the main thing is to show a child how to turn airplane mode on and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off. And at any one time, you have three components. You have the cell tower communication, you have Wi-Fi communication, and then you have Bluetooth on a phone. So at any one time, you're only using normally one of those communication. So if you're using the cell tower, turn off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on the phone, and you've cut about 2/3 of your radiation. So again, it's more of the issues is when they're sleeping, where are they storing it? And again, safety and security, I understand parents, they want to have it. So it's probably the most important thing is what they do when they sleep. Where is it located? Don't have them sleeping with it. And also to teach them how to turn off, two of the three communication mechanisms, so they at least only have one going, and get into the habit of airplane mode on, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi off, and then when you want to check something, turn it on. Turn airplane mode back off, rather.
And we know teenagers, they like to hide the
Yeah.
phone, right? And
Yeah,
use
and
it all the time.
on the ear pods, I would try not to use those at all, because now some of them, they actually communicate between one another, and the communication goes right through your brain. And normally we want people, we have standards from Germany that we use, but this one at a consumer electronics show, I don't tell people what I do, but if they ask me, I tell them. So I measured some ear pods, and there were 172,000 microwatts per meter squared. And we want the extreme level starts at 1,000, and we want people way below that. This was 172,000, 172 times the most severe, the extreme radiation level.
And
So
why?
we normally have good, better, and best solutions. Mhm.
What is the difference? And I think you kind of touched on it, but just a little deeper dive on it. When Bluetooth, and I always shut Bluetooth off on my devices. What's the difference between Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi on your phone?
So Bluetooth is divine is there are two different communication protocols. So some people design Bluetooth to communicate with the phone, other people design Wi-Fi. So those are the two major communication devices with the phone. So it just depends upon when a manufacturer makes a device, it's how they want to communicate.
Is one worse than another, in your opinion?
No, I've measured them both. They're both just as bad.
Interesting. Is there a safe distance to live or have a cell tower near your home?
So what happens is on the cell towers is that it depends upon how many antennas they are. So you can have four levels of antennas, and then on each level, you can have 1 to 6 antennas. So in that regard, you would actually have to measure. So I would just, try to get as far away as you can at this point.
Is I guess the question becomes, there's so many questions going through my mind. With
Sure.
when we're talking about, and we had this discussion prior to us doing this presentation and the summit, we are forced into the use of all of these wireless devices. We were talking about that the landline phone that we were all traditionally familiar with had a cord. Well, the newer generations probably aren't, but we had a cord. We were plugged into a copper line. Um, None of the wireless was available, but they're eliminating these completely in the New York metro area. We no longer have them even available to us. So, what are the other options, especially for businesses, for homes? We're working from home. You've got to be on these phones all the time for work. Is there something we can be doing when we are actually on the phone or we have to use it that could help benefit us?
So normally when I go to a home, I have a good, better, and best solution. So with phones, again, we're just talking about not a complete solution, but the best solution you can do. So whenever possible, use it in airplane mode. Okay. I'm sorry, use it in speaker mode. So whenever possible, use it in speaker mode. And then some people have wired uh, headsets that you can use, but always remember where the phone is. That's why I always like speaker mode because you move it away. You could use a headset, but it's right here, and that can be an issue. So whenever you're on the phone, use it in speaker mode, and then whenever you get done, try to move it as far away as possible. So I keep my phone when I'm not using it maybe 12 feet away, 12 to 15 feet away. So if you're in a desk environment in a home office, just keep it as far away as you can. And then when it rings, I mean, you have plenty of time to come up and actually pick up the phone call.
It's so true because we're so used to having it right there to pick up, but we have plenty of time to get to it. We used to have, like my generation, we used to run down the hall to get the phone. It
I
was
know.
on the wall, and we had plenty of time.
Yeah.
So it's a way of training. We need to train ourselves back to kind of get, and it's healthier for us anyway to get up and move to go get the phone. So I'm gonna do a little rapid. We do a little rapid fire questions, and this is so the audience can actually learn a lot about you too. Um, what is your favorite place in your home?
My favorite place.
Or room?
I don't have any favorite places at all. You're just a function. If I'm at my office and I'm doing office work, if I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. So, but what we've done is we've reduced the radiation in all the areas that we have. So we actually don't have Wi-Fi. So we just use our phone communicating to the cell tower. We have a landline. Some people can still get that. And so we don't stream anything to our TV. But again, remember DDT, dosage, distance, and time. So a lot of their smart TVs, we have them all the time and they're out there. And so whenever possible, hook up all your TV communications to a power strip. So whenever you're not using it, turn it off because most of those things continue to communicate even though you're not watching TV. And then increase the distance, from those, is what what we do. So in the kitchen, what we do is we unplug all the devices in the kitchen, like a blender and things like that. And in our room, our bedroom that we sleep in, most people can't do this, but some of us can. We actually turn the electricity off to our bedroom at night. So that makes it the most quiet area in the room. It's almost like a sleep sanctuary.
And it's so important to get that deep, restful sleep. And I do that as well. I have not where I'm shutting the power off, but I have everything disconnected, nothing plugged in around where I sleep. Um, Except I'm guilty of constantly keeping my cell phone close because I'm afraid my loved ones or someone's going to need to reach me. And I'm worried that I won't hear the phone.
Yeah, so just move it as far away as you can.
Okay. It's such good advice. Um, so what is a favorite activity that you like to do in your home? Is there something that you enjoy doing more than something else?
Uh, you know, um, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, so I'm constantly listening to health and EMF audiobooks, and so I would say learning. So I like to always be learning. Health is always changing, as you know, and then also learning. So again, I constantly use audiobooks to learn when I drive, when I'm at home. So that's what I do a lot of. And I do some entertainment as well. I watch some TV and things like that. But I'm always constantly trying to learn because there's always new things to learn.
Mm. And we've been asking all of our guests and speakers, what is something in your home from a healthy home standpoint that you know that you haven't addressed yet, but you know is probably a problem?
EMF wise, I think I've addressed almost everything. Although, just to let you know, there is one thing I have to address, and we're supposed to do it today. Good question. So we're in Las Vegas. We're about 20 feet. Our lots are about 20 feet from another house. So the other house, they're friends of ours. They actually have their Wi-Fi router on that wall. So what I've done is I've put shielding fabric along that wall. And again, if you're ever going to use it, make sure you do a meter before and after. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put another layer of fabric on that wall. So we're actually supposed to do that today. So that's one thing I have not done. And that'll cut down the radiation even more from my neighbor.
And what does the fabric look like? I think a lot of people have a misconception that if they do these things, it's not going to be, um, you know, as far as interior design in their home, it's not going to look good. Are there ways to do this so your home actually looks beautiful and you don't even know that these things are there?
So the fabric is really light, and we get it. You're another speaker you'll have, Rob Metziger. I always recommend his Swiss Shield fabric that he has because it's the most. It doesn't react with humans at all. Everything's encased. It's 100% cotton, and then it's encased. All the wires are encased so that you're not. You don't have any. Uh, you don't have any exposure to the wires. And then what happens is you can put it up on the wall. Then you can actually put some tapestry over it or something like that. So I've had people do that. I often put foil behind the bed, right behind the bed if you can't turn the power off, and it knocks a lot of the electromagnetic radiation from electric fields down. So again, fabric or tapestry can do that. And then also, if you want it permanent, you can paint it. But I would always recommend that you use a meter and use temporary fabric too to make sure you're getting the result that you wanted, because everything is reflective on this.
Can you?
I had a room in my house and it went up 4 times when I didn't cover the right wall, actually.
Mm, interesting. Can you recommend a meter that somebody, if someone is interested, a homeowner says, "Look, I want to try testing these things myself and walking around the house"? Is there obviously we always want them to hire a professional because professionals know so much more. I mean, same. I'm an environmental consultant. If you're going to test your home, you should go with a professional. But is there something they can start using right away to check these things and see if something is out of, you know, a normal range?
Yeah. So remember, we have 3 different meters. So we have to do the Wi-Fi, wireless, and Bluetooth. commonly called RF, with a certain meter. It's called a Safe and Sound Classic. And actually, your guest, Rob Metzinger, actually developed it in his labs, or Safe and Sound Pro. So one is a little bit more expensive. On my website, I actually have that at the very top of my website. So if someone, isn't writing down frantically, so those would be the two that I would do: Wi-Fi, wireless, and Bluetooth. And then the other one, for dirty electricity, it's called a for the middle frequencies. So we have high frequencies, middle frequencies, which are dirty electricity. It's called a green wave meter or a Stetzer meter. So you can use that to measure, and that's the one that you have filters to reduce it. And then for the two low frequencies, electric and magnetic, then they have a tri-field TF2 that you can use for that as well. And then Rob has a series of what's called the ME series. ME 3030B is a good one as well to measure that. So you do need 3 meters. Some meters might be combo, like the tri-field TF2, but but I wouldn't necessarily. They have an RF setting on it, but it's not quite as sensitive as we would like in the industry. So we would have you use a Safe and Sound Classic or a Safe and Sound Pro.
Mm. It's so overwhelming. And I know you've been studying this for so long, right? So when people who don't have your knowledge and expertise and we hear about this, it's daunting because we know that this is going on, and where do we start? I think I'd love a takeaway from you. So immediately someone's seen this presentation and they say, wow, I really need to start doing something. I think this is affecting me. What is the most economical thing they can do in their home to start managing this?
Move the cell phone away from where they sleep. Get it as far away as they can when they sleep. 19 out of 20 people charge it right next to them and right next to their nightstand. So move that as far away as possible. And if you can turn the Wi-Fi off, I would turn the Wi-Fi off whenever you're not using it. And remember, with Wi-Fi, it's always a safety and security. If your smoke detectors are wired in with them, if your security system is, then of course you can't do that. Then I would shield it. And on my website, I have a shielding pouch that you can actually shield it with.
Well, I am honored to meet you. I am blown away by the information. And this is just, I mean, stellar presentation. You did such an excellent job, and I can't thank you enough. For more information on where people can find you and also where you think they can get the best, most scientific education information about this topic, please give that to our audience.
So my website is stopdirtyelectricity.com, and I have a YouTube channel as well, Stop Dirty Electricity. So that's where I find people want to start. And then also at the top of my website, I have a yellow band that 10 ways you can reduce your radiation right now, free of charge. Just download that and then look at the website, and then even more importantly, look at the videos, because we're a video generation. Everyone is watching videos on that. And so and then also the 2 books, Expose: The Electronic Sickening of American, How to Protect Yourself, including dangers of 5G and smart devices, and 99 tips on how to reduce your radiation.
Well, thank you so much. Our
You're
homes and
welcome.
body, thank you.